Welcome everyone to episode 169 of the Crystal Chronicles, recorded this October 7th. It is October 7th, 2021. Thank you all for being here with us. It's not just me. I'm joined by my co-host, your good friend and mine, Mino Spellgood. Mino, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay, Mark. Very tired for some, I don't know. My energy levels have been all over the place lately because I've actually started working out again, and I've been getting normal sleep. Apparently, exercise is really good for you, but that also means like, ooh, I'm just going up and down throughout the days now. I know you tried to lose weight. Was it like that for you, the transition?
So yeah, it's tough. So I lost about 40 pounds in the first about year of the pandemic, and I've been pretty much consistent since then. I still need to lose some weight. But yeah, it's a slow go because you do tend to hit a wall unless you kind of ramp up a little bit or you kind of do something else, right? Your body kind of gets into that same rhythm. And then if you go back to your old habits, you can gain a whole bunch of weight. Yeah. Sorry, I was trying to respond to Shadowheart, who has made up a little ditty for us, and I've not been able to. I've
Right.
not
Me
been down. I've
neither.
not been down on my computer, so I can't listen to it on my phone. I've
Sorry,
actually been
Shadow.
gone all day, so at a funeral out of town. Make sure that doesn't get lost in the thing, Shadowheart, and you can just DM that to me so that I have some time to look at that. I will do that. So thank you, Macno, for the Twitch Prime sub. Again, if you want to support us, you're watching us live on Twitch, you can give us a follow. You can give us a sub. If you have an Amazon Prime account, that will help. You can do you have a free Prime sub with that as well. If you're watching on YouTube, like, sub, ring the bell for notifications. Listening on your favorite podcast app, you just rate us there, and we really appreciate that. Well, let's talk about the show. Every week, our TCC intern has shared wonderful, wonderful trivia about the show. I'm so glad Poto Cedar, our TCC intern, is putting those together. So last week, the trivia was, how many podcasts did our co-founder, Pierre, host? The answer was 43. So the first 43 episodes of the Crystal Chronicles DissidiaFFOO edition, Pierre and I did do a FFRK. Were hosted by Pierre. So first 43 episodes. Also, a big shout out to all of you who've been supporting us on YouTube. We did break 2,000 subs on YouTube. I do have a special thank you and Q&A. Tried to answer some of the backlog of questions on YouTube. So really do appreciate all of your support. Well, let's get to the meat of the show, the news of the day. Oh, let me say what today's trivia question. What banner did Mino Spellgood spend the most gems on? There is a great recorded history of all of our gem pulls. So which banner did Mino spend the most on? And we'll let you know the answer next week. Come back with anticipation. So the news of the day, there were some small bug fixes on the 4th of October. You can check them out. A couple character passives weren't working correctly, some naming things. Not a big deal. You can check those out if you're interested. When it comes to sales, only one new sale, and that is Reigns' costume, his fancy full-on Seath costume, where he's all angel-like, and you can, and that's the costume that goes with his LD. If you haven't caught on to it, either the LD or the BT weapons often are associated with the costume. So for this, it's kind of the monstrous gloves. So it looks, if you're going to get the costume, that his hands actually match it. Because if you don't get the costume and you use the LD weapon, it doesn't make any sense, and vice versa. So that's pretty common though. Most of those work with that. I know a lot of people don't like it. Mino, any thoughts on this weird costume?
So fucking ugly,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I don't remember how he looks like in the game.
Yeah, no.
I only played FF13 once, and that was on launch, so I'm unclear This is his Speaker of the Dead costume, right? Is this the form he takes when he becomes the Angel of Death and
Yeah.
he speaks for the dead?
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, that's canonical. Yeah, yeah, when he enters the far plane and he summons the spirits of Spira. I think that's
That's why
when.
he looks like
Yeah.
Seymour,
Yep,
right? In this costume.
exactly.
Okay, I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah, he
And
is
so
the
I don't re
reincarnation, the
I don't
reincarnation of Cena.
remember if his hands actually look like this in the game when he's transformed. Does he have like one monstrous freakish arm and the other one is just like a normal arm cosplaying as
Yeah.
a monster arm?
Yeah.
'Cause like this looks so odd. I hate it so much. There's no way this is what it looks like in FF13, right? Like I wish I should have researched this and looked up
Yeah,
the original.
I'm looking at the concept art, and I mean, it looks exactly like this, except he doesn't. In
Serious?
the concept art, he only has one monstrous hand and one regular hand. And so, I mean, looking at his in-game form when he adopts this form, he doesn't actually have the glove. You see the glove there when you equip it. So actually, if you remove that, it's a little bit more
Give him the
fitting.
bronze glove. Give him the bronze glove.
Yeah,
Let's take a
there
look.
you go.
No, the bronze one, like
That
the
is,
all the way the 3 star. There you
yeah,
go. There
there
you
it is.
go.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm sorry, I was a little behind. Yeah, okay, so that looks even
yeah.
worse
That looks
somehow.
that looks terrible.
Uh, I don't know what I'm staring at. I think it's really funny that in JP they sold a weapon gloss for this.
Yeah,
You know, they sold the Moogle fists
the Moogle
when
fist.
this costume specifically covers up half of that weapon. You only have one normal hand to wear the weapon on, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
It's a disaster across the fucking board.
Yeah, it's just I bought it, but it's monstrous. It looks good when he gets his angel wings in there, but yeah, it's a little strange. But yeah, we also did not get that. We were just talking in the pre-show. We have not gotten the Moogle. It didn't come with Aphmau because she's Fist user. It didn't come with Reigns, the Moogle Fist weapon gloss. We have not gotten a weapon gloss in over 5 months. It was May the last time we got a weapon gloss. So I don't know if they just weren't selling, although that seems weird because it's not like all they're doing is patching in something, right? They already have the resources in JP. So I don't know why we're not getting weapon glosses. Any ideas about that?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, what a missed opportunity. Like, you're right. Since the last time we spoke, it's been about like 3+ at least weapon glosses that we haven't been getting. And like you said, all they have to do is patch it in. It's like, the assets are already developed. They're there. They could just make money off of it. Uh, I mean, I don't want to be pessimistic and say that they're doing a really bad job at making money. So I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt and assume that how like what were those there were certain things in GL that were delayed
Yeah,
because they were adding things to it, right? Like I'm trying to think of an example. I want to not like 6 man or something, but like certain things were delayed because they did them better.
sure.
It's yeah, yeah. So my hope is that they're delaying weapon glosses because they're gonna put stat increases on them that you
Ooh,
can pay for, and hopefully that's what they're doing. And then they're gonna charge like $30 for them. That's the only way to recover from this mess at this point.
yeah. Come on, Squex. There's currently no black ingot bundle. There's currently no pink
So
ingot
stupid. So
bundle.
stupid. Jesus.
But you can buy high armor tokens, and remember, you can exchange high armor tokens for partial nuggets to make an ingot for your high armor. So I guess there is an option for you to get more money like to spend money to get more high armor, more blue armor. Uh, I don't know. You can basically spend $80, I think, in US dollars and get two nuggets, right? Or two ingots, excuse me, 40 nuggets, two ingots if you convert them.
Yes.
So, I don't know. I'd rather just pay $80 for a book and two nuggets. Either way. So hopefully we'll get some of those because I'm not tempted yet to buy the high armor bundles. I'm sure our friend Nitre has already bought 4 of them. And Daniel, probably several others have already bought the 4 for the month. But yeah, interesting. So that's all you can buy. Hey, well, before we talk about our 2 events, we're going to talk about Guy's Lost Chapter and Rain's event. We want to talk a little bit about spheres. Been getting a lot of comments online on our Discord, on YouTube, getting a lot of comments. I've seen things on Reddit, on Facebook. What spheres do I use? Whose spheres should I use? I mean, obviously the big one is right now Rain's. Are spheres really? I'm not really sure why spheres are in the limelight, or why spheres suddenly matter that much. So, Mino, what are your thoughts on Spheregate 2021?
Right. So this has come up because Tonberry Troupe stopped doing sphere recommendations, and now like every streamer is getting a bunch of people in their streams to ask whenever a new character or weapon is out, what spheres should I put on said character, right? Like yesterday, I was trying to stream the event. I couldn't get onto our channel, so I streamed with Raw Life instead on the live stream channel. And even there, I got like 2 people asking me what spheres I was going to put on Reigns, which is really odd because there were only like 8 people watching. So 25% of the audience is asking me, what spheres they should use. And then, like I'm not the only one. You've got like Reddit threads and Facebook threads. Like people are just asking all over. Like, Tonberry Troupe really dropped the fucking ball. I think Ink said that he got more complaints about this than anything else he's dropped. Yeah. And I was a big fan of the infographics by like buff and debuff percentages. Yeah. I thought that was way more important. Apparently nobody said anything when that was dropped, but when spheres were dropped, he's gotten like 20-25 complaints a day. So not only, Mark, do I think this is a great opportunity for any like up and coming content creators to fill this niche, start making, videos or Reddit threads about sphere recommendations. You'll probably blow up really fast, but I feel like we should do our part.
We will.
On the podcast, when we cover characters now, we should also have a sphere recommendation section. We should try it out tonight.
We will. We will try that out tonight. Look forward to that. But yeah, this is a missing niche in the DeFo community. So as RVK says, should you sphere? That's a great video series just waiting to happen. Great Reddit material right there. What sphere? Really getting the nitty gritty of sphere life. Now, interestingly enough, quite a few people who are live with us on Twitch have said, I haven't used a sphere in months because, of course, the majority of our community is filthy hoarders and would dare never use one of their precious spheres. So that may tell you a little bit about our community. But yes, the greater DeFo, the greater DeFo community. Yeah, Black Nero might be picking up the should use sphere. Somebody better beat him to it because it's a little.
It's an untapped market. This is like the next Bitcoin.
Yeah,
you guys need to jump on that.
Yeah, this is. Yeah, I'm not. Well, I considered. But we'll talk about it on the show every week, of course. So look forward to that. So let's talk right about the content. The first was, and you might all have forgotten, that we had Guy's Lost Chapter, Gentle Giant. Great story, by the way. Guy's such a lovable guy, right? I mean, just the character of Guy, they really like double down on how great Guy is. Are you a big fan of Final Fantasy II, Mino? Yeah, okay, that's kind of what I thought. So, unfortunately, even though this was Guy's Lost Chapter, he did not get anything, and that was not particularly good for him.
He got a HA plus.
Yeah, he did get his high armor plus, and that is 100% it, and so that really sucks for him. On the other hand, we did get a new LD, and that is Cinque's LD. Cinque got a pretty significant rework, too, and so you can see that in the game files as well. We won't dig into that. So just a brief overview about Cinque from Type 0 and what she brings to the table here. Cinque is a melee damage dealer with delay, debuffs, and launch built into her kit. She has a stacking debuff called Stun, which, when it reaches 5 stacks, unlocks her skills plus variations, which all delay the enemies. Her LD adds a new buff to her. She gets a personal buff, and that allows her to do a follow-up attack. Her new follow-up attack reapplies her stun debuff and adds the new debuff, See Ya, that has 100% defense down and 30% HP damage up, but it decreases by 1. It only starts with a 3-turn count. It decreases by 1 every turn, every time you attack the enemy. Pretty solid kit. She brings a lot to the table. Mino, anything I missed just kind of on the basics of her kit?
I think, did you mention that? So basically, her LD is adds an HP damage up debuff now.
Yeah.
Okay, then that's it. Yeah. Basis of kit. You said you were a big fan, right? We
Yeah.
haven't talked about this before the show, but in the intro, you said you were a big fan of this. So let me hear your thoughts first.
Yeah, well, I think I think she's, the pros, she's really solid damage. The debuffs are really good. The stacking defense down is really good. The HP damage up is really good. She's got a lot of utility built into her kit, delay, launch, battery. Keeping up with her debuffs is kind of a pain in the butt. You kind of have to make sure that you're really on top of who's being attacked. Because they're single target, you got to manage them a little bit. She's also really slow, so there's some ways around that. But by herself, she has slow turn rate abilities, and she can actually delay herself. So that kind of sucks. But overall, I really like her kit, and I think she's a pretty solid character.
I really like this character, so I definitely had to have like a bias check before going into this. So I'll start with all the things I love about this character. I've said on the Discord, I love these like huge two-hander, like weighty weapon characters in like any game. Uh and as I said, her attacks feel weighty because they delay the enemy, they delay herself, they hit really, really hard. And she's slow. I don't know. It feels good to press her buttons. And holy shit, don't take that out of context. She just has a lot going for her, right? Like it's I think it's 100% defense down in
Yeah.
total. If you get everything, that can really add up. The follow-up is nice. The HP damage debuff is really nice, as this Lufania play showed us. That's actually pretty rare to have a HP damage up debuff. And just everything about this character feels good. And I want to say, like, uh, credits to Zoe who pointed this out, and I stole her idea. But she said that Sync's self-delay doesn't have to be a liability because less turns for her. It's like the opposite of these turn hogs. It means more turns for, say, Reigns or somebody like that.
Right.
Like more up to date DPS. So that's food for thought. The downside, and I want to know what you think about this, is the downside is BC rightfully gave me a reality check of theory crafting in a vacuum,
Yeah.
right? Like it's really fun to talk about the possibilities of these characters, but the reality at the end of the day is how do they perform in the actual fights coming up, right?
Yeah.
And even if I think Sync has such a great kit and you can do this and this and this, how does she stack up in the hardest fights going forward? And it really is like Macnol rightfully pointed out, this is a game that punishes you really badly if the boss gets turns. So a character like Sync, you're definitely going to be seeing more boss turns than usual. And usually that means getting hit by a big attack that's going to put some like punishing debuffs on you and really make your run that much harder. Or um there's going to be like she's a delay kit and there's going to be fights there that you don't want to take too many turns in a row or push the boss back too far, or that she needs significant support to function. because I'm sure you ran Aphmau Sync.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a great combo, right?
Yeah.
Would you run Sync without Aphmau?
Um, yeah, let me talk about that in a second. First of all, shout out to our friend Nidre for the sub. Shout out to Goose. So Nidre's OO tracker, a really great resource for hoarding. Goose, our good friend Goose. Check out Goose on YouTube. The 5 gifted subs, and our friend. Oh, I paused my chat here. How do I unpause the chat? Uh, how do I unpause the chat? Um, oh, come on. I hate when the chat freezes like that. Our friend Worry Chat gifted subs as well, so check out check out Worry Chat and his emotes. And thank you J.A for the subscription. I don't know why I hate when my OBS pauses that. So yeah, would you use Sync without Aphmau? Obviously, Aphmau helps deal with some of her issues, her slowness, and everything else. But that being said, I think she does have some delay. So if you pair her with, uh, if you pair her with people who can delete, delay, that's one option. Or obviously launch, that kind of stuff. If you build a launch team around her, that's one option. Or if you really go defensive, right? I mean, if there are some defensive content where you can, obviously, at some point Zach's going to come back, but even not, I mean, people are still running Warrior of Light and other defensive characters. So if you build a Kamari's coming out, so Beatrix you could consider her a defensive character. So I mean, if you build defensive characters around her, so it really doesn't matter that the boss is taking turns, then yeah, I don't think it's going to be a detriment to have her on your team. I think her real right the real the real thing that really sucks for Sync. Let me just put it out this way. And I don't even know if I wanted to talk about it this early, but the literal next character that came out after Sync does almost everything she does, but does it better and easier. And so
Right, I wanted to bring up the Reigns comparison too. We'll jump into that early, but yeah, finish your thought on that
well,
for sure.
yeah, so Sync's not super easy to play because the really powerful debuff, she actually gets her stun gives defense down 20%. She has a generic 30% defense down, and then the Sia has 100% defense down. So there's several stacking defense downs, which is nice. But the 3-turn Sia after the follow-up. So the cool thing is with the stun. So you have to manage stun, and it's single target because her follow-up single target. So managing that can be difficult, but because she always reapplies stun with her follow-up, it's a little easier to manage. But Sia is a 3-turn debuff that ticks down every time you attack. So you have a very limited window. Except I believe in burst, it doesn't tick down in burst phase. But so you really have to watch what you're
Actually
doing.
not. Can we get a confirmation on that?
Yeah, let me look and see if I can confirm.
Because I know most buffs get frozen, but I don't know about debuffs.
Yeah,
Burst and summon freezes it.
yeah,
BC, yeah, okay,
summon
yeah,
freezes it. I don't know. Our burst freezes it. I don't know about summon, but maybe on both. It sounds like it doesn't go down. So you can take advantage of that because it is 30% HP damage up. So I mean that's really good, right? But all I'm saying is that takes some skill to do well, right?
yeah. And I wanna piggyback off of that. Sorry, I don't know if you could hear the sirens going on in the background there. Um, it's I want to praise this character so much because this is a playstyle I really enjoy. This is a playstyle that reminds me a lot of Kadaj's playstyle, and I loved playing Kadaj. I
Yeah,
used him in way too many Lufanias.
yeah, me
Like it's a
too.
very similar like debuff juggling, and you kind of want to focus on one target and have multiple, right, to like keep up the stacks, and you revolve around it's very similar. I really like the kit, and I want to use it going forward, but it was a wake up call. Okay, well first we were talking about theory, and I looked at a lot of JP videos using Sync. All of them are no turn videos. They
Hmm.
go either one way or the other. Either you're using like Aphmau and Noctis to give her a ton of free turns and pull her up constantly, or you're running her with another big delayer like Cod or Quistis or Garland, so that you stack delays and they never get a turn, right?
Right.
It's one or the other that Cinque is very popular for. So in theory, that sounds like an amazing niche, but in practice, how many fights can you do that with?
Right.
How many fights can you bring two delayers or a turn manipulator in sync and then keep the orb in
And
check while dealing with
still keep the orb
mechanics?
up. Yep.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. And so like this is a character I want to run. This is a character I want to try to see how many fights I can get with. But the thing is, comparing it to a character like Reigns or even like older metas like Yuna and Tidus, etc.,
Yeah.
the difference between a very good meta unit and just a very good unit like Sync is that these very good meta units don't need any help to do what they do.
Exactly. Yeah.
They can get help to do that better, but they're a fully um individual kit, right? Like self-reliant, 100%. Reigns is always going to turn manip and launch no matter who is on the team with him.
Yep.
You can give him brave gains and other things to make it better, but he's always going to do what he does. Same with like Tidus. We were talking about like a lot of people like to pair Tidus with off-turn damage like Core or X-Death. But the fact is, even without that, you can still buff him up and he can still do fine, right? He does
Right.
his job regardless. Sync really needs support in one fashion or the other. And it's fine. There are people who like building around the team, et cetera, but it is just
Well,
objectively.
as Pikachu Games says, and I got a couple things we got to interrupt, but Pikachu Games says sync requires big braining for a very small payoff. And I'm not sure that necessarily small payoff, but it does. It takes a lot of work to get a similar result for characters like Sid Reigns, who might take less work and get more result. But we'll talk about that discussion here in a little bit.
Yeah.
Also, thank you to Livestream Defo for gifting a sub. I think Worried Chad gifted a sub to Livestream. Livestream is gifted a sub to somebody else. And so check out the live stream on Monday with Raw Life Type Zoe and Blartanian, Blart Defo. But Silocons used his Chocobo points. You can always use your Chocobo points a few times a stream. We have, I think, a limit to 5 people a stream can use 2,200 Chocobo points to stop the presses and do a Q&A. Silocons asks, what do you think of a once-a-year early access, maybe 2 months before schedule, to a banner that allows paid gems only to be used? Interesting. So, like, let's say, like, who's coming in 2 months? So that'd be December. So let's say early jet LDBT. Like, if I could pay $80 and just unlock that banner. Still have to pull on it, right? Still have to use resources. Is that something you'd be interested in, Mino?
Personally, I don't like paid gems only banner.
Yeah.
Whenever I install a new game and I see a gotcha with that, I'm out. Uh,
Yeah.
like I can tolerate a lot, but that's too big of a pay to win, or not a pay to win, but that's too big of a pay advantage. Way, way, way too big
Yeah,
for me.
that would be very a lot of people would be very, very upset about that. That's for sure. So yeah, obviously, if you do want to use Sync, you got to pair her well. We already talked about Aphmau, really good pairing. Were there some other combos that you think really supported her well?
Um, no, I'm sure people will figure it out, but it's just that ultimately I want to say that there is a clear divide no matter how much I love Sync, and I really love Sync, no matter like there's a clear divide between people that need specific combos and people that don't. You only have 3 slots on your team, and you're already dedicating 2 to a combo. So it's like Aphmau, right? Which a lot of people are starting to complain about, by the way. I've seen today, including like Inkwelder and Raw Life. Well, Raw, oh, I'm yeah, okay, yeah. They're complaining about Aphmau Reigns. They're not the only ones. I've seen a lot of people say they don't understand Aphmau Reigns combo. and all it is you're giving Reigns more
Yeah,
turns.
I'm not really sure what's not to understand about that combo.
Aphmau, they're saying Aphmau feels bad, doesn't feel like
Oh,
she's pulling her weight
yeah,
because her
no.
auras aren't great and she's hitting for nothing. And yeah.
But
So
but yeah,
or
but we'll talk about that because who cares what Aphmau's doing?
exactly. But the point is, good characters are like Cinque and Aphmau, who are very
Yeah.
dependent on their partners
Yes.
and not the most intuitive to use. Because there's several people in chat saying like, oh, I like, in response to what Pikachu said, I like small brain characters with big payoffs like Vaughn
Yeah.
or something, right? Like a lot of people don't want to work this hard for their victory, which is understandable.
Yeah.
And also, like it is just a big cost compared to these other characters who don't need nearly as much. But before we move off of Sync, though, I just want to say the advantages are huge damage
Yeah.
for a non-launch, right? Like Reigns is hitting bigger numbers because he can launch. And I want to talk about this when we get to Reigns. It's so funny. Like I feel like people are saying Reigns is doing a million damage, and yes, he's doing a lot of damage, but it's like the core effect where it's because there's a launch and two other characters
Right.
dumping their brave as well, right? So it's not like he's solo doing that. Like if he's the only character in your party, he's not hitting those numbers. But right, like in like launch immune situations, or if you just can't line up a perfect launch, Sync hits really, really hard with minimal support because of her 100 defense stat. I've seen a lot of
Yep.
videos of her out of synergy. She can almost always hit 500k with very minimal support. Big damage without launch. It is a considerable niche. The HP damage debuff is great. I think she has a lot going for her. It's just that she requires what Ink likes to call setup cost.
Yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts, Mark?
Yeah, no, I think if you're if you like the character and you like kind of the description that Mino and I have given of playing the character, that's the reason you would pull a character like this. But yeah, you do have to really build around her because you're going to need some dedicated support, some very particular types of gameplay, and you're still going to have to deal with the orb and boss mechanics. So, I mean, like you said, you only got 3 characters. I think one of our, who was it, was saying, this wouldn't be an issue in a 6-man event.
Yeah,
This is Raven.
Gale Raven.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So that's true. The more characters we have, potentially, the more options we have. That's the exciting thing about the 6-man, the new version of the 6-man event in Japan, where you got to switch between characters. Actually use the characters. And so that does offer some more options for characters like this that are very, very strong and, have a lot of utility. So the nice thing is she does have enough utility that there are going to be orbs that she could potentially manage. That being said, by the time those come around, are you going to be using it? So thankfully, you're interested in her. Zoe, we know Type Zoe's going to try to use her as long as possible. So you'll continue to see Sync around. Looking at the podcast poll, first of all, check out Tonberry Troupe for the beautiful infographics. Appreciate TonberryTroupe.com for all the work they do. MateriaBot is where we do our podcast polls on our Discord, TCCPodcast.com for all the links, or just check in whatever you're watching this on. You can find the links to all of our resources and an invitation to that. But MateriaBot is where we, Quetzalma of MateriaBot sets up our podcast polls. J.A, moderator, helps with that. So looking at the podcast polls across 9 servers, and if you have your own server, you can set this up. 0 people willing to pity the people are doing the podcast polls right now. Make sure you do Reigns while you're there, folks. No problem. 0 people willing to pity Zanon's BT. 13 pitying ALD. I'm assuming Sync. 1 person gem pulling. 77 tickets and 77 skips. So a few people interested in this banner. I know I used tickets because I didn't have Guy or Sync's LD, and I didn't have Guy ZX. So it was a good banner to pull some tickets on. Obviously, I made out pretty well with that. So, all right. Well, let's move to the Gentle Giant Lufania Plus. We will be talking about pretty much exclusively Lufania Plus. We're not going to be talking about Lufania at this point, and we're not going to be talking about challenge quests really anymore, because at this point challenge quests are fairly easy. If you are struggling with challenge quests or any content, you can always come on to our Discord. We have a strategy thread, and we have a new Lufania Plus. Well, we have a strategy channel, and we have a new Lufania Plus thread for every single Lufania Plus, so you can check out the different Lufania Pluses. So this particular Lufania Plus was 2 Rage Gators. They're fun little creatures. And DissidiaFFOO.com has all the call to arms and great information. And our friend Excalibur doing some really fun infographics about the fights themselves. Do we call those infographics, Mino? What Excalibur's doing? Or is there a better name for those?
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
fight
sure.
infographics. Maybe Excalibur's with us tonight. Maybe he can tell us what he'd like to call them. But they're fight mechanic guide. Little fun images that really talk about the fight. So just the basics of the fight, we'll break it down. The orb starts at 79% and then disappears. Oh, it starts at the beginning, disappears at 79%, picks up at 49% to the end. You can uptick it by doing Earth Brave damage. That's only a 1 count. If you do increased HP damage due to a debuff, then it gets a lot more. I think there are only 2 debuffs that do increased HP damage that are not tied to an element, because these little buggers are resistant or immune to elemental resist down. So Kurasame does not work. But Cinque's debuff, Sia, works, and also Gabrant's debuff works. Mino, are there any other debuffs that are working?
Which ones did you list?
There is Cinque's debuff, Sia,
Uh-huh.
and there is Gabrant's debuff.
Yes. Aerith's
Okay.
Seal Evil increases HP damage from any source. Eldnarsh's Terror increases it for himself.
Great.
Arceela's LD1 increases it for himself. And
Dark
I want to say there was one more.
Dark Knight Cecil.
Yes, there you go. Oh, DKC. Yeah, that's for the party.
Right.
And Agrius.
There you go.
Painted Molly.
So there are several options, which is nice, because the earth damage option, much more difficult. We have seen a couple guide clears. Everyone who's run a guide clear said it was pretty horrible, but there are options with that. Very personally, Gabrant's Call makes it very easy to manage the orb. So if you have Gabrant, you don't even need his LD. I don't know how much you have to have him built up. If somebody in chat knows exactly what you need on Gabrant to proc it, but I know his base call can be used to do that, especially if you're doing it. You need EX, thank you, Type Zoe. You need EX at 2 out of 3. And I mean, as long as you have his EX at 2 out of 3, you can use his base call and you will be able to apply that debuff, which is really nice. So they start with the normal 80-80 brave damage reduction and brave gain reduction. During the fight, they get Run Wild, which is a red aura, and after the red aura, they do big HP attacks unless you let them act for 3 turns. A way around that would be Setzer's Freeze Joker, kind of helps deal with their damage mitigation. They get Power Boost, that kind of standard 79%, 49%, 29%. But you can no-turn this without any issues. So you can delete them and delay them until they're dead, and there's really no issues doing that. So that's what I did, because why not? Because I have a green Zidane. So Zidane deletes content, and he deleted these Rage Gators. But I did bring Cinque and Aphmau and brought Zidane, and it was ridiculously easy. That was my first run, and I always put my first runs on YouTube now, so you can check out my blind run is what I should say. So I share my blind runs on YouTube. Mino, what are your thoughts about the fight? I know you went some different directions.
I don't know. I was gonna say this is a pretty restrictive fight because there's only so many debuffs that work, but with the help of chat, we just listed like
6,
seven something options, and then of course you have Guy and Gao if you want to go that route, because there were Gao clears. There were Guy clears as well. So I mean, it's like what percentage of the roster to check the orb do you need before it's not restrictive? You could probably rustle up about 10 here, which I want to say is kind of fair.
Yeah.
Um, Hard to say, but either way, we'll get to it on Reigns' fight, but so far this is second Lufania plus.
Yeah.
Are you finding these restrictive, Mark?
Well,
Well,
I,
yeah,
I don't. So first of all, I don't. You don't need a green character to beat these. But if you greened Y'shtola or Zidane, these first two Lefanias I think are considerably easier.
yeah.
Because that gives you a lot more options because that little power spike. Obviously, if you pulled for the next character we're going to talk about, no, these are not tough at all. um, yeah, I think this one because there was really no. I think of the first three Lufania pluses, this was probably the easiest, just because you were able to delete and delay it without any consequences whatsoever or any hiccups. There was no manipulation around that. You could just go in and do it, and all you had to do is bring Gabranth Call, and it was done. That was it, right? So, that being said, if you don't have a green, and if you don't have the right characters, if you don't have Gabranth Call, I think that's probably a big one. You need to really be able to bring other things. So yeah, you can bring Guy or Gao. There are clears to that. Again, you can join our Discord where there's a whole page of clears. Some people are saying in chat a little tougher. You have two, of the first three, this is the only one where we have two bosses. So that can create more problems than perhaps other content moving forward.
Yeah, I did see a lot of people say that they found this considerably tougher because you don't have the synergy boost of Pandy, right? Like, the
Yes.
Pandemonium Lufania. Right. And I mean,
Yeah, this
people
this
with
is our
brains
first
not are
this
posting
is our
through.
first real Lufania Plus because in World of Illusions everyone is synergy. So there's much more limited synergy. But Cinque is obviously very good synergy. Zidane's very good synergy, and Guy is also there as well.
Sync, now that you brought it up about not Sync not being easy to use, I did see a good amount of people bring Sync and still pop the orb. I don't
Oh,
know how. I didn't watch the videos,
it
but I do know
so
casually visiting main
so
chord.
that is a
Yeah.
good point because you to if Sync is the only person that you're bringing to manage the orb, it can be really tricky because her follow-up attack is single target. So you have to manage both enemies with a follow-up attack, and you have to make sure you're not hitting them because you'll tick down the orb or you'll tick down the debuff, and if you lose both of the debuffs at the same time and the orbs
Yeah.
are so I mean it takes some setup and it takes some stopping and thinking. And if you don't not bring in a
Yeah.
character like Aphmau to shoot her up in the turn order, that I mean, without I don't know, is there some clears without Sync Aphmau? Because that's got to be really tough. If that's the only way you're managing the orb is with Sync C a debuff, that might be a really really tough, laborious run. Like you really have to walk through every single thing you're doing to make sure you're not popping an orb. So
I gotta take a look at that, Mark, but what you reminded me, what it really is this first cycle hasn't been that bad because it encourages no turning, as you said, because of course this is a Dawn cycle, right?
yeah,
He deletes turns and he's a fucking speedster. So you could no turn all three of these fights very easily, no punishment. In fact, you're almost encouraged to, right? Like in Pandy, one of the mechanics is take 15 turns and then the tornadoes go away. Or like, here and in the Reigns event next, there's no penalty to no turning. Like it's only when you can't no turn does the community freak out. It's only when we come to Vane's cycle where all the bosses warp
yeah,
do people start really freaking out. Right now it's kind of tame because a lot of people are used to just no turning these fights. But that being said, what you pointed out about Sync is great, right? Her debuff ticks down every time it's hit. So people are struggling to keep it up because they're probably running someone insanely fast like trying to do Tidus Core Sync, and they just eat through her debuff
Yeah.
before she can reapply it, and that's what is ticking so many orbs, right? So it's just a reminder that this cycle, a lot of people are saying it's not that bad because they're running a lot of like Tidus Core Setsers
Yeah.
or like just a shit ton of cores and Tiduses. I'm seeing a lot. Throw in the Unifriend there, here and there. Everyone's no turning this, but that's not always going to be possible
And
moving forward.
just, on the other side of that, as Excalibur is saying, the first thing we do, I mean, once you apply the Sia debuff, you actually then have to hit them to tick the orb up because you have to do HP damage on an enemy with a debuff that does increased HP damage. So just doing the follow-up attack doesn't uptick the orb. So there is even more management there. But Excalibur is saying Setzer Gladio combo keeps you safe. You just need to freeze Joker when the red aura is there. So that's the defensive way to play it if you want to. But again, man, Gabranth Call really negates most of the issues in this fight. Even if you are bringing Cinque, I'm pretty sure I would encourage you to bring Gabranth Call just as a safety net because, if not, you're just going to be spending, one bad turn or one fast action can really ruin a fight, and that's tough. So, yeah. Anything else on Lufania Plus number 2?
Nope.
All right, well, let's transition. We've already shouted out so many of our good friends here tonight, so check all of them out. We do have a full list of great Defo resources in...
Shit. Mark. We forgot about the sphere recommendations.
Oh, man.
All right, so really quick, this will be really quick. For Cinque, I feel like Cinque Sphere is really good on Cinque.
Okay.
That's all I got. Do you have any thoughts, Mark?
Yeah, so let me see. I'm a big fan of Ferris Sphere on everybody. So love that. That's a nice. So is there any so she's got 2 A spheres and an E sphere, right? So obviously Max Brave because her damage is so good. So you want lots of Max Brave up and some defense down on top of that. Cinque Sphere. I don't even. What is Cinque Sphere? Is Cinque's an A sphere?
I don't know, but I'm
Cinque
sure.
Sphere?
I'm sure if you put Cinque Sphere on Cinque, it's a safe bet. I don't even know.
Not always.
What it is,
Not always. Let me look. Let's clarify this because I do not remember what Cinque Sphere is. I mean, I have a fully max Cinque, so I should have it here. I'm on my sphere page. Can you search spheres in a better way? I'm not reading chat, so don't tell me. Let me see. Where's Cinque? Cinque would be here we in type 0, right? Here we go. Cinque sphere. Oh yeah, we have when inflicting break. Well, that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign because she doesn't do that very often. Increases brave by 10% of max brave once per turn. Wow, that is a garbage sphere, isn't it? Am I reading that correctly? Is that a brave break bonus sphere? No, yeah, it is. It's a brave gain sphere. When you break, what? Oh my god, what a terrible sphere. So don't do that.
I stand by
Yeah,
it.
no, definitely. Sorry, definitely. So the recommendation is regular Cinque Sphere, refined Cinque Sphere, Ferris Sphere. So there we go. She's got encouragement armor, right? No attack keystone. Well, any rebreakers with the encouragement? I don't think so. What a weird sphere. I don't even know why. Give her attack and brave. Physical attack, regular attack, brave damage up. On all 3, even the E sphere. There you go. But yeah, let's go. We already shouted out several of our community members. Do check out the notes, on YouTube or on your podcast, whatever you're listening to. All of our friends, very, very a good content creator, some new content creators. So I've tried to update that. So check back every once in a while, make sure that you have subbed and followed everybody on that. Now, one shout out. Our good friend Indolent Lard, who is here with us tonight, shared this really funny bullshit meme video from the new, what is it called? What's the game called? The Final Fantasy Strangers in Paradise, the Final Fantasy 1 prequel.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a meme going around from part of the trailer that they showed where Jack Garland is he says bullshit and then walks away and plays aggressive rap rock music on his cell phone, even though he has earbuds in. And so Indolent Lard did a little fun montage with different clips from the Ranting Hour and the Historia Crux, and of course the TCC podcast. So go check that out. It is Indolent Lard on YouTube and his bullshit meme video where we are featured. So very, very, very fun. I know there's a lot of good memes about that. I, for one, very, very excited about Jack Garland coming back to Defo with his BT Plus. I hope you are too, Strangers of Limp Bizkit. Oh, yeah, there's, yeah, very good. All right, well, the time has come and is finally here. We know you're so excited about the man of the hour, His Holiness, Sid Reigns. So, Sid Reigns' event is brought back to us. The banner. Oh, I need to spend some stuff in my shop, don't I? His banner brought back Mog LD. Mog got high armor. That's all he got. That sucks for him. But we have a brand new freaking character called Sid Reigns. What does Sid Reigns do, you might ask?
He speaks for the dead.
He is a speaker of the dead. For the dead. He doesn't speak of the dead. I did that earlier today. I spoke for the dead. Sid Reigns is a speaker for the dead, right? Of the dead. Wait, what? Yeah, he speaks of the dead.
You speak of the dead. He speaks for the dead.
Yes, correct. There we go. I was speaking of the dead. He speaks for the dead. I don't do that work above my pay grade. He does it. Sid Reigns is a magic attacker with constant launches. And by constant, I mean every button he presses launches. Not almost every button, but most of the buttons you're going to be pressing launch. And in his launch, every time he initiates a launch, he does a crazy follow-up attack, which means his launches are really quite powerful. He has Cleanse, Dispel, Enemy Delay, Party Turn Order Manipulation, Party HP Damage Up, Party Launch Damage Up, and Battery. So he is absurdly broken, and besides having ridiculous damage, he has pretty much half the utility in the game. That's my opening thoughts, Mino. Oh, his dumb call ability is even great. He's got one of the best call abilities in the game now. Jesus. It's so bad.
What to start with, I want to bring this up. I want to see what Mark and Chat thinks. I remember a discussion before Reigns came to GL was that don't see him as a launch character, see his launch follow-up as part of his attack. I don't think I agree with that. Now that I've seen him in action, I think he's 100% a launch character, and I 100% think you have to build like a launch team, because if you do, well, first of all, I don't know if you guys saw, I posted a 3 Reigns run, and it didn't even, in 65 turns, I only brought the boss down to 65% HP. So, clearly he needs heavy support in Lufania Plus. He is not like the self-sufficient god everyone thinks he is. I ran 3 Reigns with 0 support. He's doing no damage. That being said, if he does get like a launch attack on his own, but without the party, somehow, like if you don't want to use S2, you don't want to use LD, you do like HP plus or S1 right before the boss turn, it totals up to about like 300k, which is pretty average for a DPS round now, wouldn't you say? Well, Cinque and Vaughn are hitting like 500k, but
No, no. I mean, depending on who you have him set up with, if he's doing solo launches, he's still doing a significant amount of damage. But yeah, not absurd damage, right?
But definitely he does need the support. I'm surprised. I want to see how it plays going forward because I have seen single digit runs with Reigns for this event,
Yeah.
and I've seen 50 plus turn runs with Reigns this event.
Yep.
And I thought Reigns would be this Saw's 35 CP level messiah where anybody can just press buttons and win. But there is somehow a nuance still to this day when it comes to launching and battering before a launch.
Well,
Very fucking surprising.
I don't know if it's so. I mean, like Scott Ong. Scott helps. You know, Scott's on our Discord. You can check Scott Ong out on YouTube. He does tons of runs. He got it down to 8 turns, but to do that he had to blue all the armor, right? And you know, so part of the issue is people don't know how to play Aphmau, right? So that's part of the turn. That's part of the issue because if you waste turns with Aphmau, you're really having issues. The other thing is right. If you're bringing, you know, Una BT or Y'shtola BT plus, you know, so part of the turns is, you know, who's blued versus not blued and who's bringing BT greens versus not greens, and really optimizing the support, right? So I think at the end, he's pretty stupid proof, but there's still depending on who you're bringing to support him, there's still a skill ceiling, right?
I'm gonna put Ink Welder on blast here. Ink tried Reigns, Sabin, and Aphmau and said he couldn't get it to work. So he replaced Aphmau with Porum, finished the fight in 50-something turns, and said that Porum was a much better support than Aphmau. Then Nidre took the same team, replaced Porum with Aphmau, and shaved off 45 turns.
With a yellow weapon Sabin too, right? Without even LD Sabin.
No, I think it might have been LD Sabin. But the point is, I honestly thought Sid Mao, or just Reigns himself, would carry people through.
No,
Lufania.
He did a.
I no longer think that. I no longer. I really think there is some nuance to using Aphmau and Reigns, or either one of them alone.
So Nidre brought Sid Reigns, blue Sid Reigns. I assume his character boards are at 0 because he wasn't able to master any of them because he's ticket capped like I am. But so fully sphered. Oh man, he doesn't have. Why do you have Max Brave instead of C50, Nidre? I need to know that.
For who? Sabin?
Yeah, no, for Sid Reigns. Anyway, because he's in synergy, he's capping, so he's probably fine with Max Brave. So he had a fully equipped Sid Reigns, Aphmau, and Sabin EX only, unrealized EX, and no passives.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So, so what he did is then he brought in a BT Y'shtola. So I'm pretty sure, and that was 14 turns. So I'm pretty sure Sabin didn't get a lot of action in that fight. I'm pretty sure Y'shtola came in quick, and BT plussed, and Reigns and Aphmau went to town and did their thing. So I think you're right in one sense. So we were talking, or maybe they were talking last night on the Ranting Hour, that arguably Sid Reigns is the most powerful character we've had since Arnea. That being said, I don't know that Sid Reigns is going to stomp Lufania Plus like Arnea stomped Chaos, early Chaos, right?
I'm super against that. I saw that too. Well, that was before he released. Everyone was saying Reigns is going to be to Lufania Plus what RNA was going to be to Chaos. Not even close. Are you guys fucking serious? RNA literally soloed fights for months.
Well, yeah, I mean, RNA plus 2 other people.
Hello, they didn't matter at all.
No, but right, it didn't matter which 2 people you brought. You just brought 2 other people, and it was
whereas all the veterans in chat are saying they know this. For Lufania Plus, you actually have to build around this. You can't just bring Reigns and whoever to this
Well,
Lufania
and
Plus.
that's the we've said this before with the comparisons with RNA, because RNA was in an era where you didn't have orb management, you didn't have mechanics like we have right now, right? The idea that you actually have to still build around the orb.
Right. And I'm saying like you look at the Reigns runs, and people are either bringing double Brave Gain up, like poor Mishtola, or throw an Agrius in there, or or like some launch support. Either way, they're actually building around him. This isn't like before where you bring like Beatrix or Aranea or Saw's 35 CP and then the rest of your team doesn't even fucking matter. Like 100%, I know this is gonna shock the community to its core, but I don't think you can bring Reigns and then on also bring Freya on the same team and do Lufania Plus. Like I don't even think I don't think I don't think he can carry Freya or the other way around in Lufania Plus. Like I think you actually still have to not only legitimately team build, but you also have to know how to play, right? Like the you remember do you remember, Mark? You have to remember in JP when this era came, a lot of people were complaining that Reigns got shut out after his release because in
Yeah.
the vein cycle on, there are a lot of bosses that kind of resist launch, not even flat out immune. Like for example, I think the twins fight is the main boss could not be launched, but the ads could, or there was a launch immune one, or there was or I think Kate Sith's is in certain modes he doesn't they take reduced launch damage, etc., etc. Like there's things fighting launches. Good players can work around that, and good players have brought Reigns to all the fights and completed it using him well. But I don't think you're not. I think your average player struggles with launches. Period. Okay, it wasn't that long ago we had Lael BTLD debut, and that was a very hard fight for a lot of people without Lael, because setting up a perfect launch with three people participating is harder than I think as veterans we take for granted that your average player cannot do that very well. Hit a certain amount of damage in launch. Hell, like this is the perfect example. I want to see. We're throwing a TCC challenge out there, right? Like how many people can tick this orb without Reigns? How many players can tick this orb without Reigns? It's not a lot, I guarantee you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if BC's calling you out specifically or calling out the people who are saying that
Calling out
Reigns is shut out. So someone's in Mithrin's in there. He's arguing with
having a
Mithrin.
conversation in
Yeah,
chat
yeah.
there.
So I missed the second part of the conversation. Yeah, this idea that he's shut out, Sid Reigns is not going to be shut out of anything. But I do think you're right that I think it was Excalibur was saying earlier, or maybe Livestream, Raw Life's here with us, and we do have the receipts. You can go back through that Chaos era, right, and be like, RNA, friend RNA could clear, and there were people that literally just ran RNA, friend RNA for 6 months and didn't pull it all. Or they pulled on a favorite, and that was it, right? Sid Reigns, friend Sid Reigns, is not going to just get you through all of Lufania Plus, right? Sid Reigns Aphmau you're going to be able to run that for a long time. I mean, you can run them through a good chunk of Lufania Plus with some orb management. So you could probably lean into Aphmau, Sid Reigns, and pick up the pieces you need to complete the content with those teams, and every once in a while another set, because we still have dimensions, and you're still going to need more characters, right, depending on what you have. So you're still going to need to pick up characters. So if you pick up those characters, if you're picking up a few characters a month, you're going to be able to do it. So you could lean into it a little bit more, but it's going to take more management. That being said, he's stupid. I mean, he's just so stupid powerful. It's really ridiculous. And I mean, you were saying like, yes, he's not doing 1.5 million damage in one launch by himself, but he's doing a lot of that because not only is he doing a lot of the damage with his follow-up attack and with the initiation of the launch, but he's adding so much HP damage up to the launch itself that, if someone else, even if they only have 25,000 in their brave, that's amplified so much more when he's in the launch. Is that a credit to that character that came with him, or is that a credit to him? And I'd kind of lean towards that's a credit to him. He's the one that's increasing the damage. So, at the end,
that's a fair argument.
but you still benefit from having a full. You still benefit from having a full launch cycle. That being said, he has turn manipulation.
Yes.
So between Aphmau's turn manipulation and Sid Rain's turn manipulation, I mean, it's just ridiculous. They're just ping ponging back and forth and doing stupid launches. It's really, really, like, if you're not, I mean, just go watch some videos. If you're not convinced that you should pull, and I don't know. I mean, we've obviously said in terms of teammates, Aphmau is great. Y'shtola is going to be good. Bartz is going to be great. You still got to deal with the orb, everything else. But I don't. I mean, is there someone you would say shouldn't pull Sid Raines?
Yeah, kinda. I mean, let me address your first point first. You make a good point. A lot of the credit does go to Raines for some of that damage. It's just that I will reiterate, and I will play the pessimist here. I don't think he's going to be the savior that a lot of people think. I don't think he's going to be the RNA of Lufania Plus that you bring everywhere, and then you just don't have to. Because let's be honest, I even saw in the comments of your poll video, Mark, saying, I'm going to do Aphmau Rains and then hopefully not have to pull again until like Lock BT Plus. Or something. Like, there's a lot of people saying that. There's a lot of people who honestly believe that Aphmau Rains will carry them for months on end, and I just do not think the average player can do that. Like, not even fucking close. Oh, did you have something to say about that?
I think Aphmau Rains can carry you for the majority of the next couple months.
We'll see. We'll see.
But in terms of the average person, will they really Well, I don't know. I mean, again, I think he's easier to use than Cinque, right? But obviously, what's like, we don't have a really good gauge of what's the average player skill level, right? Because I mean, it's hard to tell. Obviously, we even in our Discord, in our community, we have people of various different skill levels. And some people struggle with Lufania Plus who aren't new. Some people who have been playing for a while. So the skill level among us, and these are people who listen to the podcast, who watch YouTube videos, who are engaged in our Discord. So these aren't people just randomly playing the game, right?
No, I got you, Mark. Mark, right here. Here's a quote from the average DFFOO player found today in Main Core General. Right here. Hang on. I got it. Shit, where? Oh, here we go. Fuck, no. Why can't I find this fucking quote from this morning? Here we go. Does anyone ever wonder if some of these content creators are cheating? Like hitting cap damage in impossible situations through a full recast bar in Lufania Plus, right? And then this guy says, I'm running the same team and not hitting anywhere near cap. The only difference is they have a BT Plus up. Unless BT Plus cast ignores all defenses and resistances, I don't see if unless BT Plus cast ignores all defenses and resistances, I don't see how they're hitting cap damage in Lufania Plus. That is your average player. This is what I'm talking about. Rains hits that hard if you pump him full of Brave gains, if you stack Brave gains. The average player doesn't even know who gives Brave gains. Like now, I was watching a stream, I think I was watching Machi's stream today, and they were saying who gives Brave gains, and a lot of people were throwing out a lot of random fucking supports that don't even fucking give Brave gains. And here's the thing.
Poor
Reigns isn't
Minishkola.
hitting
That's your...
Reigns isn't hitting 1,000,000 damage outside of synergy unless you are building around it. I think a lot of people are going to put Reigns with whatever two supports. Aphmau is a non-support. Aphmau's just a turn manipulator. You need a really heavy support
You
in
do.
that third slot. I don't think your average fucking player is going to be able to. I'm going to say I'm a realist. I don't believe it. That being said, Mark, to answer your question, I think the only reason not to pull Reigns is if you are flat out broke.
Yeah.
And you have somebody you would rather pull in the near future,
Sure.
which is completely understandable, okay? Because we always say no one character is necessary, and we always say it's better to skip content and pull like a favorite or someone you enjoy using over a meta character. That being said, if you can spare 70k gems, you get a fucking discount. 70k gems. If you can spare 70k gems, I don't think there's any reason to skip this character. Okay, like really big hipster vibes. I'm gonna say this. There's a lot of people who wanted to skip Porum and Setzer.
Yeah.
Because they weren't necessary or they saw them as taking the easy way out, which I guess I can respect. But now that we're entering Lufania Plus, a lot of the non-synergy runs and the challenge runs are possible because of these characters, just because these characters enable so much.
Yeah.
Right? And even if you don't like Reigns or you don't want to quote unquote take the easy way out, as Mark said, as a call alone, he brings a ton of utility that can make a ton of things work. Like giving anyone the ability to launch for was it 2-3 turns on his call is just that's huge. Having a pocket cleanser and dispeller is huge. Turn manipulation, huge. If you think he's too much, the point is this one character can cover a lot of roles. You don't want to get hit. You know how most people fail this game? They hit surprise content
Right.
that non-metas that the metas didn't cover, like Equinox and Dispelling was a big one. When that first Equinox came and people did not have a recent Dispeller, they could not do that fight. Or there are other abysses and like random fights here and there. Or like Yuna, right? Like Yuna and cleansers. A lot of people that caught a lot of people off guard because that pierced debuff evasion. You want role coverage, you want a wide roster. Reigns is the cure-all. If you can spare 70k gems and still have a pity for your favorite, I don't think there's any reason not to do it unless you're being fucking bullheaded.
Yeah. And as we've mentioned it a couple of times, but his call ability is a very short call ability, kind of like a Roja. It's only 2 turns, I believe. But it gets HP damage up 20% and makes every attack launchable. And it doesn't, just like anything else, doesn't go down in burst phase. So he is kind of the burst phase call. If he's not on your team, he is going to be in your call. So he's one of those characters. We talk about pulling for calls. He's one of those characters like he's good on everyone's burst phase. And at this point, you're probably bringing a burst phase. Not everybody is, but most people are bringing burst phases at this point to content. So, you don't have to pull him. No one's a must-have, but if there is a must-have, he's as close to it. He's as close to the possibility of it as exists. And there are some fights like his own that we're going to talk about in a second, which are overtuned to him. And so obviously it's a lot easier with him, but it's certainly possible without him, or even without him as a friend, as we will see here in a second. But I think the important question is sphere recommendations on Reigns. He has 3. He has 3 A spheres. I have him fully sphered. What are your sphere recommendations?
Thank you for asking, Mark. I think you should put Reigns sphere on Reigns.
I think that's a good one. 3 Belthier. Some girl says 3 Belthier spheres. I like that. I like that. Reigns, Noctis, Kai'Sh. Yeah, he does take advantage of the knockback the launch or knockback. It's not called launch in game. It's called knockback in game. We refer to it as launch often in the community. He does take advantage of those spheres really well. HP damage up, brave damage up, magic. He's a magic attacker, so magic damage up. And it doesn't matter, friends. Don't worry about spheres. Don't worry about spheres. Just put 3 of them on. You'll probably be okay.
Just coda to what Mark said, though. When he said no characters necessary, you can pull who you want.
Yeah.
I do believe characters like Reigns saves you from making more pulls.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
how a lot of these cheaters like Jin Lee have like a million gems. Because
So,
the smart long-term players who have big stashes, they can ride a meta character for longer to save gems. And I think objectively, pulling meta lets you build a horde. And that's why it's important sometimes to acknowledge the meta, because there's a lot of people still living pity to pity.
Yeah.
Right? And if you want to get out of poverty, get a meta character. Because if you skip Reigns, you're pulling more synergy to compensate for harder fights.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Well, and I think Black Nero said something to the effect of, you're going to see people, like Clay from Dystopia, do these no boss turns, big damage, with Reigns for months to come. And so people are going to lean into that for sure. But yeah, you were talking about Jin Lee, our friend Jin Lee on YouTube, and from the Fireside Chat, he did a run video. I don't know if it was the Reigns or the Guy Lost Chapter Lufania Plus. And right, someone literally, we were talking about this earlier, someone literally in his YouTube comments said, I used the exact same team and didn't do it. Why are you cheating? Like, his first assumption was, I tried the exact same team that you did and I failed, so you must be cheating. So, yeah, those people are out there. I don't know that that's the average Default player, but obviously it takes a little bit more than just copying someone's team. You actually have to know how the characters work, how they work together, and how the violence in chat continues. So, hey, again, beautiful infographic, works through the entirety of the kit, gives you all the fancy numbers you want. The Tonberry Troupe does have a sphere guide that goes through kind of general recommendations. Generally speaking, your attack characters need attack, whatever type of damage up, and brave damage up. That will be fine. Don't worry about that. If they have encouragement armor and a C-slot, Paladin Cecil, you'll be fine. But they have a full list. You can spend a few minutes reading that. You'll be good. Join, if you're troubling with the Lufania, join our Discord. Excalibur has the infographic. We'll talk about Lufania here in a second. DissidiaInfo.com for the call to arms. But Materiabot, Quetzalma, podcast polls across 10 servers, very different from the Guy banner, as you can imagine. 8 people planning to pity Zidane BT on this banner. 81 people pitying the LD. 19 people just wantingly using gems. And 66 using tickets. Only 13. 9 of them are on our... Of the 10 servers, 9 of the 13 skippers are on our Discord. So... gives you a sense of the hipsters on our group. And that may be because they don't have resources, like you said, and they're trying to save for somebody else. But, yeah, that being said, most people are pulling for Sid, and I can't say that that's a bad idea because he's pretty stupid. So Lufania Plus, Reigns Lufania Plus. You fight one enemy. Hooray. Yeah, that's always nice when you have one enemy to deal with instead of 2. And it is beer me strength here. It is a glob. Flonzy? A groby? What the hell is this? It's a hellworm. What kind of pretend words are these?
It's German. Mark, I thought you did a lot of language in your
Yeah,
schooling.
no, not at all. Yeah, no, it's a hellworm type. It the orb gets +1 when you launch. It gets +8 if you do 250,000 damage during a launch, right? So that does not include the initial attack. So if during the launch you do over 250,000 damage, it will tick up the orb by 8. So there are more than one option behind that. Obviously, Sid Reigns makes that easy, but the other launchers in the game, including but not limited to Lael, Zidane, Cinque, Tifa, all have that ability as well to set up those launches. It starts with its recast ability up, and its recast ability is very dangerous because when it has its recast ability, it moves into an offensive posture, which gives its huge damage up. Also equips it with a 400k damage shield, HP damage shield, makes it immune to delay or delete, and triggers, and that then triggers anytime it recasts or at 49% of its health. If you do not kill that shield before it does its recast ability, you are likely not going to be alive unless you have, I assume, massive damage mitigation. So the best thing to do is eat through that shield ASAP. Then you can take the recast. It does cleanse itself, FYI, and then put some speed down and turn rate down debuffs on you. So cleansing is helpful, and it also buffs itself. At 69% and 19% of its health, it does become immune to instant break for one of its turns. And at 29%, it gets HP and brave damage regen unless you do 200,000 in a launch. I actually, the base team for this is Aphmos, Sid Reigns, Yuna, BT. So that's kind of the base team, the easiest team to run through. That's the 8-turn team that Scott Ong did. So that's kind of the simplest team. And friend Yuna, I think, for that. Or you can do friend Sid Reigns as well and double Sid Reigns it. But I actually wanted to use Zidane. So the boss does not start out as being able to be deleted. So that means you need to take a recast. And so you beat up the orbs, you take the recast, and then you can delete it to hell. It doesn't matter after that. But obviously Zidane is not doing the kind of support that Yuna or Y'shtola or Porum are doing for the launches. That being said, wasn't any issue for me, and I wanted to use Zidane, so I did. What do you think about the fight there, Mino?
Pretty restrictive fight, but even up to this minute, we're getting new data. We're already beta testing the TCC challenge.
Yes.
So if you want to get a head start on that, what it is looking like is no synergy, no BT plus. That's it. Yeah, very little restrictions because I think Macno wants to prove a point to see how fucking ridiculous this is with just no synergy, no BT plus. I think a couple of fights already make it through. Warrid, who isn't very chatty in our community, but posts a ton of impressive runs.
Really skilled player. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, he's so good. Liz Lisette has done it
Liz,
already.
Yeah, Liz is amazing, obviously.
And then Ricky, not too long before the show, posted a non-launcher team that got through this Von Aphmau Setzer with 0 launches, right? So this is very possible, but I also think TCC challenges aren't meant to be impossible. They're just a wake-up call to see look how fucking bullshit this fight can be. So data aside, without Ricky's weird ass non-launcher team, if I ignore that, going into tonight, we thought the only viable launchers for this fight were Reigns, Cinque, Zidane, Tifa, and Lael.
Yeah.
And then if you take away synergy, that's just Tifa and Lael. And that's because Tifa was actually synergy for this in JP. Remember the campaign banner that got back? Yeah. So
and Aphmau was synergy. She's not synergy right now, is she?
She is not, right. She was also synergy in JP.
Yeah.
That synergy is removed here. Not that it fucking matters because Aphmau's not meant to do damage anyways. But very restrictive fight. I'm very curious to see if people can do this with
Hey,
that. Uh,
Z Links asks, is there a way to find what spheres work best on what units? Started the game day one, but quit for a very long time and came back to it. Would you like to answer that, Mino?
yes. My rule of thumb is to put that character's sphere on that character. That's the extent of my knowledge. It's so fun. I got yelled at because I was streaming yesterday and none of my characters have spheres on them. None.
Yeah, you don't need spheres.
Eh,
Z-Links, go to TonberryTroupe.com. They do have a sphere guide that kind of walks you through the basics, all right? If you're doing a damage dealer, they need attack up, they need their type of damage up, and brave damage up. If you have encouragement armor like Yuna and an E sphere, or a C sphere, Paladin Cecil's refined sphere. Other than that, really don't worry about it. Brave damage up, attack up, you're gonna be fine. Very simple. Don't get don't worry about spheres, everybody. We've been joking all night about it. Don't worry about spheres. They really do not matter that much. They're just shiny accessories to put on your characters, right? So you feel better about your life. All your characters do damage except for the occasional Porum or something like that, right? And so just pump up your damage dealers with damage spheres. You're going to be fine. Just make sure it's the right damage type.
Z-Links, do you have Discord? You can follow the link below to our Discord channel. And what you do there is you're gonna want to PM Inkwelder, and he's the head
At
of the
Yeah,
Tonberry Troupe.
at Inkwelder. Yep, at Inkwelder.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and then ask him
Yeah.
for sphere advice. He's the expert.
He is an expert on spheres, yeah. So definitely 100%. Yeah,
Okay.
feel free to at Inkwelder. He's a mod in our Discord, so yeah. Definitely. Good advice. Thank you. Always appreciate that. Happy to answer any questions on stream. We like to do that. There you go. Yeah, so there are options now. You know, you talked about Ricky Shu. Yeah, X Death, Mrs. Irving Sphere. Really, big brain play there. Big brain play. But so I mean, Ricky did bring to do that impressive run. Ricky did bring Sid Friend. So a lot of these runs that don't have Sid in the party are bringing a Sid Friend, which is fair, obviously, to get through the orb. And there's plenty of people with Sid. Thank you for the follow. Plenty of people with Sid Reigns up as a friend unit, so that's nothing to worry about. But there were some no Sid Reigns runs whatsoever. Deathstroke did Tifa, Yuna, Green Y'shtola, Green Zidane friend. So I mean, it's possible, right? You can do it without Sid Reigns at all. Obviously, if you're willing to bring Sid Reigns as a friend, it becomes a little bit easier. If you're willing to have a green character, it becomes a little bit easier. And again, you can wait a little bit because we're going to get another option. But yeah, bringing your green character, and again, we're going to have other options for Sid coming up because there's characters like Kistis that's a solid support, and Bartz is getting his BT plus and able to be green, and he supports Sid Reigns quite well, obviously. So
Yeah.
yeah,
This was it's a very restrictive fight, but it was very manageable. And now that this first cycle is over, this is the end of
yeah,
the very first cycle. Uh, to address preemptively cut off the community discussion, yes, there are a lot of people who found Lufania Plus not to be as bad as hyped because they pulled for all the perfect characters that are good here.
yeah.
Um, it still boggles my mind that people don't understand the power of foresight. Uh, guys, if you had zero foresight, you would never have known to pick up Porum.
Oh yeah,
Porum was very, she's not a favorite of the communities. No one's favorite FF character is Porum. Uh, nobody, like in a time with big bursts and big damage, no one's looking at like what her 30k true damage follow-ups, right? Like her damage wasn't impressive at the time. Brave gain was unneeded at the time because a lot of batteries were like she was such an unnecessary character, and she released 6 months before Lufania, and then now she's showing up all over the place. GL just by knowing she would be an asset in Lufania are a lot of people having a much easier time through. Agrius, well, I'm sure people would have pulled for Rainbows anyway, but like a lot of people studying the community had all the tools to make this work. So Lufania Plus is really, there's always these tough guys who don't want to try it without the perfect tools, right? Like
Yeah.
they're the ones that read the guides and say, okay, I planned this fight, I'm going in. But this is just a testament to, I really think, I say this all the time, Mark, Square Enix fucked up. They should have caught Global up to JP.
Oh yeah.
I know for damn sure 100% all the time. If I didn't know what fights looked like for the next 6 to 8 months, I would be pulling a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not kidding, right? Like I got excited over Cinque because I didn't look at any of the fights going ahead. You can objectively measure that going forward. If all these new characters were flying at me like Shulk and Reigns, like I would be pulling all the time. Foresight is way too fucking powerful. If you're a player who thinks Lufania Plus is too easy and you're literally reading other people's research and watching other people's videos, it's
Yeah.
not an earned victory. Pay respects to the people that came before us and pay respects to the JP players who have to figure this out after the fact. A lot of people are living pity to pity in JP. Well, not after garbage time, but at this point, they were living pity to pity and had to make really hard decisions who to pull for Lufania. So, you know, um, if you got through this hump, the rest of Lufania Plus is probably going to be pretty manageable for you.
Well, this hump going on for a couple more months. But are you saying just this cycle? If you got through this cycle, you'll be okay.
Yes. I think if you prepared for these fights,
Yeah.
you could then you're prepared for the other fights because the Reigns fight without Reigns is considered one of the biggest spikes. If you
Right.
can do this and get through the veins cycle, then it's
There
it's
there
not
was
going
a
to get
lot
hard.
of there was I mean, and obviously it is possible. There was a lot of complaining, I remember, in the Japanese side of the game around this fight. And yeah, it was probably because who the heck is Sid Reigns? Obviously in FFRK he was one of these powerhouses too. So that's the joke's been ever since. Sid Reigns literally was an RNA of FFRK. He carried teams in FFRK for a long time because he did everything. I think he was Hastaga, and he had several different whole party buffs, which was really awesome. But yeah, I mean, so who's Sid Reigns? And I don't have any.
He's just
I don't have.
the dead.
I don't have any resources, so I didn't pull him. And then I'm realizing I don't have enough damage to do what I need to do because my Y'shtola is not green, and I didn't get pour him, and I don't have decent launchers. So yeah, it certainly was possible, but a lot harder. And you can't read it, right? And there's no one putting out guides and all that kind of stuff, and so. They don't have a Scott Ong, and they don't have an Excalibur and a Macnol and, people doing stuff, and let alone reading the language most of them can't read. So, yeah, you get it. You get it. When you have 6 months to prepare and you already seen how the fight works and you know exactly what the orb does before you even walk into it. I mean, it's like, it's like going to I don't go into a movie without any idea of what it's about, even if I'm, I find myself fairly spoiler free when I go see a movie, but I know what the Black Widow movie is going to be about, right? I mean, even though I didn't read spoilers, I know kind of what it's about. There's just amount of just because of the information we have in our world. So even, if you're any at all connected to any content creator, if you're on Discord, you probably knew that, oh man, this Lufania Plus, you're going to need to do big launch damage. Well, okay. So even at that, you're getting some insight that the people in the Japanese version of the game didn't have. They didn't know this was coming. And here it is. And Zidane's probably not enough to do it by himself. So... all right. Hey, well, we do have some time for some podcast questions. And if you want to chat, give us a question in chat. You can always give us a sub. That's a good way to get our attention and ask your question that way. Or use your Chocobo points. I think we have a few more Chocobo Q&As. But if you want to ask us questions, you can always go to podcast questions on our Discord. So Goose asks, check out Goose on YouTube. Mino, what kind of characters do you like? I think Mino did answer part of this today, but you're always talking about characters you don't like. What are the kind of characters you do like?
Oh man, I've repeated this so many times at this point.
Yeah,
All right,
hold on.
so officially for the
Pikachu,
podcast-
this is a new segment. It's called Podcast Questions. You might not be familiar with it, so enjoy.
Just for everyone who's missed it, because I think I've said it on the Discord and the post show a million times by now. The characters I do like are the characters that you have to make decisions for all the time. I hate autopilot characters. I hate really OP characters like Global First RNA. She balanced out later. I hate Core. Core is such a non-entity on the battlefield. Like, if you want to talk about Aphmau sitting there and not doing anything just to be an enabler, that's what Core does, right? Mark, he enables everybody else. Yeah. So, like, you don't even play Core. It doesn't really matter what buttons you press on his turn. He's just there to follow up.
No, at least playing Aphmau, you have to realize which of her buffs you need and which ones you don't, and you kind of have to learn how to play her. Core is literally just press buttons, and if you need to use them, use his super attacks, and if not, don't worry about it. So
yeah, GRW is reminding me that I hate Terra.
Yeah.
Because you press the LD, like the most boring of all the turn stealers. You press the LD button, and then it really doesn't matter what you press. It's free ability cost, free turns for 6 fucking turns, and then you do it again after it's over. That being said, what we were talking about before is the ones that you... Oh, I hate Alice. I have to put that out. Every time I'm asked this question, I'm obligated to say I hate Alice because... That's not decision making. That's following a flowchart. I say it all
following
the
a
fucking
flowchart.
time.
Yep.
Say it all the fucking time. You're not making decisions. You're just checking what button you're pressing next.
But like a character like Realm, which you can customize depending on what summon you have equipped, is kind of up your alley, right?
Right. Like I said before, I like Eldnarsh because because people bring up Eldnarsh a lot. They're like, Mino, why do you like Eldnarsh then? Because it's the same strategy every fight, right? You're just locking the boss out. Well, anyone who's played Eldnarsh knows that the strategy actually differs depending on a ton of variables. How fast your teammates are determines how many moves he needs to charge his EX. How fast the enemy is depends on how aggressively you have to apply his debuffs. How, like, the resistances depend on if you need to build him with battery or brave shit. He really has to adapt to the variables. Other characters I brought up, if I have to do turn stealing, I think Zidane is a lot of fun. You have to think about how you do all of his turns.
Yeah.
It's not a formula.
Not a formula. He is fun to play.
Yeah, you have to think of when to use Mug, when to use his HP plus, when to use his skills. It's not as easy as like autopilot, you hit Terra and then it's 6 other buttons, or it's not like Tidus where you're like, okay, hit quick hit a bunch of times until it wears off. It's he gets a bunch of consecutive turns, but you really have to think about how to use them. Or like other characters I like, Edward. Don't laugh.
I know.
You have to think about Edward. Playing around the sleep debuff was so fun, which is why I also like Cinque, like a debuff that ticks down. You can either let it sit or you push it forward. Like there's a lot of variables. I like characters with a lot of decision points. That's what you call it in board games and other turn-based games, right? Decision points. Board game complexity is based on how many times you have to make a decision in your turn. So, for example, in Monopoly, there's very little decision points. You roll the dice, you land on a property, and if it's unpurchased, the only decision you're making is, do I want to buy this or not? That's like as complex as Monopoly goes. Whereas if you're playing like, I don't know, I think Mark plays like Warhammer or something, and every turn, every decision, like there's so many decisions to make on each turn. It's a complexity thing. It's called decision points. I just like characters that take some brain power.
So I did not realize this. Excalibur says, by the way, I just saw today one of Cinque's in-game lines is, "It's super duper big." That is literally one of her in-game voice lines. I don't have all 6 of them unlocked apparently, but apparently I'm going to be running Cinque in this co-op from now on. Yeah, wow, it's super duper big. Is that a in-game? I did not play Type 0, so my Type 0. Ooh, yeah. I'm gonna have to buy her other voice lines here. Super duper capital. It's super duper is capitalized. If you're listening on the podcast, it's wow. It's super duper, all capitals, big. Senpai. Excuse me. She has those big eyes on that infographic. I don't know if you've seen the infographic. Big eyes, the senpai eyes. Yeah, so follow-up question from Bart Zidanian. What kind of characters does Goose like, Mino?
Amaranth.
Yeah.
Amaranth's a goose,
Good
right?
call.
I don't
Amaranth.
care what you guys say. Amaranth's a goose. Look at his
Yeah.
fucking picture. Those are wings, not
Yep.
hands.
Yeah, he is a
Humans
goose.
are
Yeah, he is
humans
a
are an albino.
anthropomorphic albino goose. Correct. I agree with that 100%. One of my favorite characters. I can't wait till he's in Defo. Amaranth Wen. I can't wait for his voice lines.
Were there any?
Did he say anything?
So to shout out Mark did I think a celebration video on YouTube answering a bunch of backlogs for questions just so they got answered. Sorry guys, we're so bad about answering them. We're catching up on content. We're able to answer them now. But I know he tackled he said it was like a 25-minute video.
Yeah.
Answered all the questions. But Mark, were there any really good ones from there that I should address as well?
No, I would have saved them.
Okay. So Mark says all of those questions suck.
Garbage questions.
You guys have
You're all garbage people. No, they were great. But
I'm sure half of
Ramza,
them were Pikachu puns.
yeah, there was the Pikachu avalanche pun. Ramza asks, what are good choices for spending money if you want to spend money? Do we have a cost-benefit analysis of various packs? What's the best value, in your opinion, at this point?
Let me start. I want to start this because I know Mark probably has more to say because he spends more than me at this point, I think. And I remember this is such a discussion we talked with Nidre and Daniel a lot. And I think out of all the packs that we were talking about, they broke it down that the LD token is the best bang for your buck. Because they said picture it as 90 to whatever, 70, an LD pity is 75k gems plus the 17 whatever it comes with. They're saying that's the value, that is the best bang for your buck. Everything else comes with time, the tokens, the HA tokens, everything else comes with time. This is the biggest gem jump. I agree, but I personally could not bring myself to pay that much money for an LD I probably will never use, an old LD, an out-of-date LD. Mark, you did pick this up, right?
I did not pick up the LD pack. Again, I'm missing 8, maybe 7 or 8 LDs. None of them at this point, none of them are particularly valuable. None of them are calls that would be useful to me. If I was missing Kurasame, if I didn't have, unfortunately Reigns is not on this, but if I wasn't able to get Aphmau and I had Reigns, Aphmau is a good option. I think she's on this LD banner. It is a good deal in terms of the cost for if you're just buying gems straight out. The cost to buy gems straight out to pity a LD weapon would be several $100s, which is stupid, and you should never do that. Very truthfully, in my opinion, money per gems is never a good deal unless they have the Kupo cards or the 99-cent deal. That's the only time money per gems actually starts making any sense. The best values in the game is basically what you are interested in spending money on. How much do you want to support? Because at the end of the day, for me, it's not really about value. It's about how much do I want to support the game. So if you're willing to support the game with in the United States here, we did talk about, our friends in Brazil and some parts in South America. Their costs just skyrocketed because of the Google situation. Some of our friends in the UK, their costs were cut. So I'm speaking here in the United States. If you want to spend $5 just to support the game, right now the Moogle Pass really doesn't do much if you're caught up, if you're a veteran player. But we're talking about value, Jinli. We're talking about value. And because we can't all cheat on our runs like you do. We know.
Jin Lee, can I be
on?
Jin Lee, let's get real. Let's get real a second, Jin Lee. I want to be really real with you. I feel like talking about real money value in this game is a lot more important than talking about fake money value in this game. I would rather talk cost efficiency of these bundles than what sphere goes on what fucking character, or how you're hoarding your gems, or how you have 1,000 armor tokens. I feel like real money discussion is a lot more important than fake money discussion. But go ahead, Mark.
But yeah,
continue.
no. At the end of the day, I mean, for me, it's for me, it's about how much are you willing to support the game with. Now, that being said, buying gems, so buying a costume or two a month if you can afford it, buying the premium Moogle Pass, those resources do add up. The gems that you buy over time add up. If you I like the costumes. I think that's a pretty good, decent. You get gems, you get a costume, pretty good pack if you like the costume. The premium Moogle Pass, again, might seem expensive, but you are getting 10 BT tokens every month, 5 EX tokens, and over the course of time, those add up. There's a reason I always have 200 BT tokens and can pity whatever BT I want or token whatever BT I want whenever I want, because over the course of how many ever months we've had these premium Moogle passes, those extra BT tokens add up, and those extra EX tokens add up. A lot of people pulled, just in my pull videos, a lot of people pulled Sid Rain's LD, didn't have EX, didn't have enough EX tokens. So again, I really do think, even though they are all resources that you can garner over time, that the premium Moogle Pass is actually a fairly decent deal over time, and the costumes are a decent deal over time. Anything else, it's really, instant gratification. I want another green right now. I want another blue right now if those come back.
Yeah.
But I would never suggest people buy gems to pull on something. I think that's the most dangerous thing you can do with your actual money. And that's true whaling, right? That's true whaling. If you're at zero resources and you are constantly pumping money into the game to get everything, that's what true whaling looks like. And if you have the money to do that, if you got $1,000 a month to spend on a mobile game, good for you, right? No problem. That's your money. You spend it how you want. But if you don't, that's a very dangerous path to go down.
That being said, really quickly, I think other than that, new Warrior bundle.
Yeah,
obviously
it's great. Yeah,
good one. And then I guess that only leaves the $20 high armor bundles. I'm not sure if those are permanent or not, but the new Warrior ones are limited time, and so is the LD token one. And the last tip I'll give you, what Nidre convinced me of, is the LD tokens don't expire.
Yeah.
So if you have a future banner coming up that you're missing 2 on, you grab one, you can LD token the other one. That's his plan.
Yeah.
I think that's good advice going forward. But I think Jin's right. I think we do spend too much time talking about these bundles. We've covered it on the last 2 episodes as well.
But that was a podcast question, Jin Lee.
Yes.
We're just talking about what the people want to talk about. So Silocons asks, which LD units that already have LD boards do you have that barely left the bench, even as a call?
Null. Easy, Null.
Null, yeah. I used Null once. I've used Barrett 0 times.
I used Null on his debut event.
Yeah, right.
And he still didn't feel good. And he still didn't feel good.
Great.
And then every time I needed a rebreaker, I said, "Why Null? Why not Strago or something?" And I'm sorry. I hated Null. LD. That stands out a lot for me. And yours is Barrett, you said?
Barrett is, I think, the only current LD with board character that I have that I've never used.
Mm.
Because he came out on Transcendence and I didn't use him in Transcendence.
Did you do are you gonna use him for RNA?
Oh, RNA LC?
Yes.
I haven't looked that far ahead. Because
Oh.
is that a range damage? You need range damage?
Ranged ticks orb by one, crits tick orb
Oh,
by
that's the
one.
crit. Oh, okay. So he could come in handy.
Barrett
Yeah.
Barrett has the full crit and the off turn range damage, so
Yeah.
he's actually amazingly perfect for that one.
Well, maybe I'll bring him there. Yeah. Jin Lee says, by the way, not sure if you discussed this topic, but I did a rant in my latest Lufania run. I watched that. Go check that out on Jin Lee's YouTube. About the Athmal banner again. Totally forgot how the move removes a very viable option of Tifa LD. Yes. So the fact that that current banner, the banner that JP had Tifa LD and Athma LD, and that was synergy for the Reigns event. So Tifa, who is a viable option for this event, is no longer synergy, and Aphmau is no longer synergy. Tifa's not even an option unless you buy the LD pack and pick her LD up, and then get the new Warrior pack to get the rest of her kit. That might not be a bad option if you're a brand new player for a character to pick up just an LD only character on that banner. So yeah, Jin Lee had a very good on the fireside chat. Jin Lee talked about that. His being upset with this change, the early Aphmau banner, removing it from this cycle because of the decrease in value. First of all, it's not on a BT plus. Second of all, right, it's moved it back a little bit with other things. Hey, Q&A, Jin Lee face reveal when? That's up to Jin Lee. 5,000 subs, I think I heard. When he gets 5,000 subs, I think we're going to get a face reveal. Is that right, Jin Lee? You answer that. But check out that conversation on the Fireside Chat, the last episode of the Fireside Chat, because, I think he really made some good points about the frustration with moving that banner around. So, hey, Inkwelder asks, Inkwelder of the Tonberry Troupe, tonberrytroupe.com, how much money are you willing to spend on a digital product without knowing what it does or how you will use it? In reference to people that purchase the LD tokens but don't know how to get it. Don't know which LD, I don't know how to get it either. Don't know which LD to get. This is an issue I have seen often, which surprises me. I don't know if you've seen this too. I have seen people in my YouTube. I've seen people on our Discord. I've seen people on Facebook. I've seen people on Twitter. I've seen people on other people's streams who bought the LD pack but don't know which LD they're going to buy. I cannot imagine purchasing this, here in the United States, $80 pack and not having any idea, unless I was like Nidre, I'm going to save this for the future. But these people are like, I bought this LD pack. Which LD should I pick? That seems very foreign to me. Maybe you can help me understand why somebody would go down that route, Mino.
Well, first, this is a clear sign to Square Enix that people want to spend money on your game.
Yeah, right?
Give us more opportunity. I forgot to say, when we were talking about the banners that are worth the most, in the end, I just bought the Reigns costume. I didn't pick up any of these extra packs because I didn't feel like they were worth it. High armor tokens, thanks to Nidre's planner.
Yeah.
I know that if you wait it out 7.5 months,
Yeah.
you'll have enough high armor tokens to get everybody.
Yep.
Why buy extra early? Or like the new warrior pack, right? Like tons of power tokens that veterans don't need
Yeah, we
anymore.
don't need any of that stuff, right?
Chocobo feathers, golden orbs, like you don't need any of that.
Yeah.
Everything is over. So I'm saying like it's hard. Get us to spend money, and it just boggles my fucking mind. If you gave us BT ingots to buy, you would make so much money. They released EX Plus ingots on launch in global, and there's no way that didn't do well. Like I really want to bet that those bundles sold like fucking hotcakes, and then the EX Plus ingot bundles came earlier to GL than they did to JP. You can't tell me that didn't make a difference. But they didn't repeat the same thing with blue ingots and BT ingots, it's so fucking stupid. People want to throw money at your game for no reason, like these LD tokens. Just give them a reason, you'll make so much money. But Ink's question came up. Well, first of all, people like to, yeah, okay, never mind. You guys are right. I don't understand why you would
Yeah.
buy the LD token and not know why you want to get it. But Ink's question was very timely because the very day he posted that, he must have been stalking me because I was reading up on NFT scams.
Mm.
Are you caught up on all the NFT things where basically, well, you know what an NFT is, right, Mark?
I'm not familiar with the term.
Oh, really? Okay. So people are selling the rights to digital images,
Hmm.
which is complete nonsense. So, for example, take the Picard meme
Uh-huh.
where he's face palming.
Yeah.
Uh, you can pay for a piece of paper to say you legally own the rights to that image.
Right. Okay. So,
Does that make
yeah.
any sense
So,
to you?
right. Right. Okay. Complete scam. Right. Uh-huh.
Okay, yeah, yeah, because it shouldn't make any
No,
sense
no,
to
no.
you.
Right. It's complete scam. Yeah.
And then there's huge articles about it because the recent controversy is that people are these digital images are worth a lot of money. People are paying millions for them. And then other people have figured out you can just right click them and save as onto your desktop
Yeah.
and you get them as well.
You can also use them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so there's this big war where the NFT people are saying, please don't right click and save these images that I've paid millions for because that's thievery, right? That's like pirating movies or something. And there's this big just discussion about how lots of news articles recently about how people just don't understand digital goods.
Right.
They don't. Don't understand how impermanent it is or how theoretical it is. And so Ink saying like, what was his question? You deleted it. Can you repeat it
Oh, he
again?
said, would you spend, $100 for a million ink bucks? Special TCC, special TCC offer, only tonight. So, $100 will get you 1 million ink bucks. So, anybody would like to do that, you can join Tonberry Troupe's Patreon. Our friends Tonberry Troupe have a wonderful Patreon, as does Macnol, DissidiaFFOO, and our friend Quetzalma Materiabot. We support all three of those Patreons. Encourage you to do the same. But you can give us $100 worth of subs, and we will gift you 1 million ink bucks. I'll actually up that. We'll do you 50 million TCC bucks. For any gifted subs till the end of the night. So that's a one-time deal. It's going to expire in about a minute and a half. So hope you enjoy that. So
To honor Ink's question, though, Mark, what do you think about digital goods, for better, for worse?
I mean,
Like, how do you feel when you buy whatever you buy in this ingots, right? Is something you buy?
yeah. So well, I don't buy ingots in the game, but I mean, I buy digital goods in this game all the time, right?
Yeah,
And
yes.
so, but I mean, I buy other digital goods like I like moving away toward like DVDs, music, that kind of stuff. Moving away from, excuse me, having an entire cabinet full of DVDs or VHS, being able to kind of just pay for a service to listen to music, or I'm in favor of that kind of stuff. When it comes to like digital goods on a video game, I'm paying money to play the game, realizing that tomorrow the game could shut down, and there's no investment here, right? Thank you, CSAM, for the gifted sub. 50 million TCC bucks to you, and Demon God. That was a prime sub. So I don't know what the exchange rate is. 48.5 million TCC TCC bucks. They are digital, so you will receive those in the form of an emotes, I assume. I don't know how that works. 50 million TCC bucks. I just have a spreadsheet where I keep track of that. So we haven't really decided how you can spend those, But there you go. So yeah, I'll happily sell you Minos Bogood's avatar for real money. So you let me know what you're interested in. We'll happily sell you any of our images or backgrounds for actual money if you're interested in that. I will DM you 50 million emojis. Yeah, I'm gonna work on a little program to do that. So you may not want to check your Discord for a while. Hey, final question. Yin is saying, it's something, Yin is talking to me like I've never played a game that's shut down.
Yeah, to address it and continue the conversation, because this last question really doesn't need to be answered on air.
Yeah.
Um,
Good.
Mark gave his take, and I think my take on digital goods is maybe it's because we're of this generation. This is probably incomprehensible to older generations. I know older generations like physical goods.
Yeah.
Um, but I am fully aware that when I'm buying digital goods, I'm paying for the experience,
Right.
right? Like I don't there's a lot of kids out there that I've read that don't understand that when they pay for a digital good, they don't own it.
Right.
You're renting it or experiencing it. Like I remember back in the day when MMOs were really big, like World of Warcraft and stuff,
Wait. So, Squex is not going to send me that outfit that I bought for my character in Final Fantasy XIV. I thought that was part of the deal. I thought they literally send me those clothes to wear in my house. No, that's not a.
I remember a little before Overwatch when games required online connection to play,
Yeah.
like Counter-Strike and Overwatch. It took a lot of people did not understand that. And like over games like those, they would ban people who cheated or hacked. And then the people would get very upset saying, I paid for this product and you're not letting me play it. And for some reason, it was so hard to explain to them, no, you're paying for the privilege to play on the server. Like, you don't own Overwatch. You don't get to play Overwatch if you break the rules. But right, like I think for a lot of especially younger people, paying for the experience is a very foreign thing because I say it all the time where I'm willing to go out to restaurants and drop hundreds on a very expensive restaurant, like a two-star Michelin restaurant. And the younger people, like Eamon, don't understand why you would do that, but you do. You know how they say you pay for the experience, you pay for the dining atmosphere when you
Exactly.
go to bar?
Right.
Like you pay for the experience. And I think it's really foreign for a lot of people to understand that you can enjoy temporary, transient things. Your money doesn't always have to equal something you own permanently.
Well, I mean, it's like going to the theater or going to a movie theater or going to Disney World. I mean, yeah, you're paying for the experience, and so I mean, as you brought up, I mean, I spent a lot of money on FFRK and played that for several years. I was in top rated guilds in 2 other mobile gacha games that I played for over a year and spent a lot of money in those games. And so, and I chose, no, that wasn't like it shut down. Like I chose to walk away from it.
Mhm.
And so, right, what do you, I guess one of those games is shut down. 2 of those games are shut down, I guess. FFRK is still going, but you walk away from it and you're basically saying what I invested in it isn't, there's no returns, like there's no investment. It was time I spent and enjoyed. And that's why my mindset when it comes to spending money in this game is not, don't spend money to get something, spend money to support the game. You spend time playing this game, you enjoy the game, spend money to support the game in whatever healthy amount you can do. And I think there are some things that are a little bit better investments in terms of how you spend your money, but that's up to you. I mean, again, you might not be able to spend $5 may be too much. What here in the United States, $5 might be too much for you to spend every month. 1,000 may be nothing for you, right? Yeah. Macnell says that goes down to another situation completely
Save
here.
that for a post show. We can save that for post show. I think
Yeah.
we're running out of time.
Yeah, we are past our regular time. So thank you all, man. It's been great to hang out with all of you today and talk about all these cool things in Sid Reigns hype. Go check out. I got my Sid Reigns polls up there. I got my run video, the Q&A video for 2,000 subs is up there. If you haven't subbed to us on YouTube, keep doing that. If you want to support us, follow and sub on Twitch is the best way to do that. Looking ahead, Dimensions End Entropy Tier 5 already. Wow. Coming out on the 13th. Is that right? Is that the next event? Is that the event Ace launches in? Is Dimensions End Entropy Tier 5 with Bart?
Yes.
Arenea's Lost Chapter on the 15th. The Heretic events on the 20th. Squeck's Community Stream on the 25th. So, until next time, friends, this has been episode 169 of the Crystal Chronicles, recorded on October 7, 2021. For Mino Spellgood and myself, good luck on all your Sid Reigns pulls and all your Lufania Plus runs. We'll see you next time.